How's that? Where obviously you kind of got the most of your guys you managed came from there.
Yeah. Or else I got them somewhere else and I brought them there.
That's correct.
There was a lot of that. I'd recruit them and bring them to the gym.
So it got huge. It was, the best gym in the entire country at one point. Yeah. And then overnight it was gone. What no one really talks about what happened to the gym. Why did it end?
It's funny because we were probably the top gym in the country for like 10 years. Yeah. It didn't really just disappear. We were the top for a long time. All the way from when Pat started till the end when Tim was champ. There's a lot of years in there that we had at least one champ. But anytime you have too much success, I think it happened to Shamrock's gym. Yeah. I think it happens to a lot of people. Once you get that much success, you got a bunch of alpha males and egos, and it's very difficult for someone to control that. So they find other things. Jeremy found Jennifer Howe and goes off to Utah. I mean, that was a big blow. He was the ground coach, the guy everyone talked to, the guy that trained all the time. That was huge that we lost him. Then Matt was never in the early days, he was part of the gym, but once he became champ, he liked to spend his time back in Hillsboro, and he would show up at the gym 2 weeks before his fight and go, "Okay, get me ready." And there was some resentment because other people were saying, "Well, we've been here for 3 months getting ready for our fights. Where were you?" And so there became, that little bit of thing. And then he started his own team. And then Pat retired. And when Pat retired, Pat was the glue. Jeremy was the glue, but so was Pat. Pat, I never say Pat was a great trainer. I don't mean it in any bad way. I just think Pat was best when he was a fighter because he would say, "Follow me, do what I do, work out like I work out." And if you did, you became a stud or you died trying. He trained like no one. Maybe Shirk is like crazy stuff, but for that time, Pat was a maniac. 3 times a day, running crazy ass hills, and where everybody pukes on that hill. But then when he quit fighting and he now has a wife and a family, he said, "Well, why don't we start training once a day?" And everyone's like, "Well, no, we don't want to do that." And there were other priorities. So I think at that point there wasn't, it just slowly started to fade and guys got older. When it started, they really weren't young. When they all started, they were all close to 30. And then they were all champs and at their peak around 32. 30. It's funny when I look back from Horn to all those guys, 32 was like a magical age. That's when they peaked. That's when they were at their best. And as they got older, 36 was a lot harder to keep it going. I mean, look at Matt Hughes. When he first started, no one could wrestle with him. When at the end of his career, he couldn't take me down. I mean, it just was a weird thing. He'd given up on his wrestling. He wanted to be a striker so bad. And he just kind of forgot where he came from. And all of a sudden, St. Pierre's throwing him around. Now, St. Pierre can wrestle, but there's no way BJ Penn out wrestles Matt when Matt's Matt. And all of a sudden he's dumping him and stuff. And it's like, if only Matt could wrestle, it's so weird saying it, but it's true. And then all of a sudden we